We're here. We're back.
We're here.
Part 2. Little silence. I want to see if anybody else would say something. All right, let's talk playoff scenarios, man. We got our last week and recap and our projections for this coming week. It's very close. These next couple weeks are going to be big. A few things I see is in the middle of the pack teams, we got Grizz, who plays Nikki, Garrett, Hitch. Literally everyone, you're all competing with each other. Huge. Yep. Garrett plays Sam, but then comes back and plays Grizz and French, right? Yep. Huge. Nikki plays Grizz, French, and then Goose in the last week of the season, which is huge. Hitch plays Goose now, which is big, gets him in that maybe hopefully 4-1 category. Plays Bubs, which is not an easy road, and then Grizz and Hitch last week. What else we got here? Bubs plays Brian, Hitch, Sam. So Bubs has to play Boyani, a top 3 team, Sam, the top team right now, and Hitch. So not, there's so, I mean, you can't even ask for better matchups, really, right?
You can argue he goes 0-3 the next 3 weeks.
Who, Bubs?
You could.
He could drop. Bubs could drop easily to 6-7.
If he does, though, he probably he probably has the points to win, though.
Yes, right. That's what gets the points on his side. Yes,
exactly. I agree with exactly.
He would have to,
but still, it's possible. It's possible, because I mean, if Hitch has to beat him for his run, right? Hitch has to beat Bubs for Hitch's run.
I can't lose another game.
If you lose another game, Hitch, you're done. If he just wins one of them, he's in, right? But yeah, he could lose all 3
and still get in. He could lose all 3 and still get in, though.
Yes, so he could 100%. Now
6
you got Brian.
Really the magic number. 6 wins is the magic number, and with points as tiebreakers.
Yeah. But like Hitch said on the pod we just recorded, part 1, it's very rare this happens, but it's possible that 5 wins makes playoffs this year, just because of the remaining matchups that are to come. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of those middle of the packs play them, so it's close. Great signing up. We got Brian plays Bubs, Timmy, and myself. So not an easy win. Possibly an easy win, but there's no such thing really. And myself to duke it out. I think the thing with myself, who plays French, Sam, and then Boyani, fucking brutal last 2 weeks. And Sam plays Garrett, myself, and Bubs, right? So it's almost like we can't even make this up, right? You have the top 4 teams, and more so 3 teams, playing each other for the last 3 weeks. We all see each other. I see Boyani and Sam. Sam sees Bubs and myself. Bubs and Brian sees Bubs and myself. So it's it's almost like the top teams are fighting for the bye because we're locked in for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We're really fighting for that bye. Anything can happen last week. I play Sam and Boyani. And then you got the middle of the pack just duking it out. What's your take? What are your predictions? One of you feel free. It looks like Hitch is ready to roll sitting up in his seat.
One thing that jumps out at me is, say you beat French this week, and then you got to play Sam week 12. I mean, if you lose that game in week 12, Brian's got Bubs. Say he wins this week and then beats Goose, you guys are probably going to be playing for that bye, because you got him in points, so you can be a game behind and beat him week 13 and still jump him. Unless he goes like nuclear these next couple weeks and gains 120 points or 110 points, but
realistically, Stanley, if he gets an injury or 2, he is in dire, he doesn't have much depth right now, so he could plummet. He could theoretically plummet quickly.
If Garrett upsets Sam this week, and we all predicted that, and Boyani and I get the win, we both jump him because of points. Sam doesn't have points on his side.
Right.
Myself in my situation, I am just trying to tie Boyani or Sam in record. That's all I need to do because I have points in my time, unless I flop, right? But that is my goal, essentially.
But if you win this week and then lose to Sam next week, you and Brian are probably going to be playing for that bye. In week
arguably
13.
The Sam versus myself week 12 is going to be for the bye. You know what I'm saying? If Sam loses this week and I win, I know I just have to beat Sam
you win this week and next week you're bye. You're in. You got the bye.
Yeah. So I think if I got to take care of French this week and just win one of two and I can lock it in.
But same thing. You win this week. You beat Sam next week. Brian beats Bubs. Brian beats Goose. That last week's for the bye.
Mm-hmm. How's this one? Ready? Bubs, right? Plays Brian. Let's say he beats Brian, right? Mm-hmm. Plays Goose, which he should win, right?
Bubs plays Brian, Hitch. Then me.
Bubs plays Hitch. Yes. So he plays you, which he should win, but anything can happen, right?
No, I'm destined. I'm destined.
I'm destined. I love it. I love the energy.
Sorry.
But I'm saying, right? So if he beats Brian, then he plays you, right? He plays Sam the last week.
Yeah.
Dude, Bubs and Sam could end up duking it out. I don't think Brian flops that much, but then Sam and Bubs could be duking it out for potentially a Bubs bye if Sam or Brian lose one or two. You know, if I beat Sam and Boyani, it's spiced.
So I think you and Brian both can win out and both get the bye. Yes. Or Brian doesn't even have to win out to get the bye.
Brian and I play each other, so we can't win out.
And he gets Goose in week 12, and Sam plays you. So week 12 could be the week that he passes Sam, and then that that week 13 game between you guys is just meaningless.
That is true. 1 and 2, just no matter what. That's true. But it's true. But I mean, realistically, Bubs is 1 game away. So it'd be a lot. But Bubs is not out. If Bubs won out.
Oh, if he
I guess if Sam wins 1 and then loses 2 and Bubs wins out, including Sam and Brian, he could pass Brian and Sam.
I think 9-4 is going to be the top record. I don't think you you both can't win out because you play each other the last week.
So you think Sam wins 2, loses 2 of the next 3?
No, I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. Well, I guess I am saying that if I'm saying that it's going to be 9-4.
9-4 gets a bye.
Yeah.
But that means Bubs wins out. He's 9-4. You know what I'm saying? It's possible Bubs gets hot and can get that bye. It's possible. I would nothing.
No, it's definitely possible.
Timmy has 3 wins. Anything's possible.
Yeah. Hey.
But it's crazy. I mean, only because Bubs plays Brian and Sam, right? And if I beat both Brian and Sam, right, they each get 2 losses, and Bubs just shoots up.
Yeah.
Over the ball.
Bubs can win out, and just like we said, Bubs can lose out and still make the playoffs. He can also win out and get the bye.
Exactly. But the thing is, Bubs can't tie Boyani because I think the point differential on them of 166 or 7 is too much. So he has to. But he's only 1 game off of Brian.
Brian would have to score like an 80. Like I was behind Grizz like 120 or 130 last week, and he scored 80 and I scored 145, and I gained a fuck ton of points on him. But I don't think I mean, Brian could score 135, 140 like he did last week, and then Bubs could score 200 plus, and then he'd only be 100 points behind. But I mean, 3 weeks to go.
It's a long shot, but
I think that's too big of a gap. I think that's too big of a gap.
With me looking into points now, I think it's too.
But hey,
he can easily catch Sam. He's 50 away from Sam.
100%. He can win out. He can win out and guarantee himself the bye.
Right. It's crazy. It's a scenario.
Not guaranteed, but
I need to beat Sam and Boyani, right? I need to beat him, and so does he. Yep. Right. So they just got to get peppered with some losses for Bubs to be able to jump, but it's possible. It's possible. Just a scenario to look into. But really, I mean, what we should talk about, I think it's going to, after this week, this conversation is going to be even more interesting with 2 games left, knowing matchups.
Yeah,
this is the week where anything can happen. We're talking about next week is going to be the week where it's like, it's this or that.
That final week is going to be just insane.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? What's your favorites for we'll say now, I think Grizz is definitely a favorite to get in the 5 spot, but what do you think, 5, 6, 7 is going to look like?
Who is going?
That's the question.
The 6th spot is the biggest thing, because I'll tell you what. If I get the 6th spot, long shot, but if I get it, my team will have been like 5 weeks straight running hot. So
right.
like I'm gonna be like a hot team going to the playoffs, not someone that just like limped in. So like I would rather see that 6th spot go to a team that like didn't just like stumble in, but like someone that's like running hot and has a chance to like win.
But with fantasy, sometimes do you want to be hot for 5-6 weeks?
Yes.
And then go into like
season, yes.
You're relying on 7 or 8 straight weeks of being hot.
But it means your players are.
No, I agree.
Well, that's the thing is because like after Thanksgiving is when these NFL teams are like starting to be like, all right, this is the team we have in place. These are the guys that are getting the ball.
Swift is our guy.
This is what's going to take us to the playoffs. Like they're not fucking around anymore. Like
let's get back. Let's work on next year's.
That's when you start to see guys in more secure roles as down the stretch, and that's why you see weird shit happen in the fantasy playoffs.
I agree.
Also, Hitch's team is a little different than other typical teams because his team was based off of a lot of younger rookies and
developing
second-year guys. Now they're developing. And they're taking that next step. So are they running hot? No, they're actually, they're just progressing into what he drafted them to be.
Yes, earlier than you expected.
Yes. And if Kyler is going to put
I think Hitch's team is 1 year ahead of where
I'm playing with house money. I'm playing with house money here. The plan was always for 2021. The plan was never to win in 2020.
And for Hitch's sake, Tua's got an easy schedule coming up for the most part. They're going to start opening that playbook up for him and letting him fly. You know what I'm saying? So that could be big. But it'll be interesting. And if Hitch can slide into playoffs, I'm curious to see where in our next ranking show where he stands. Because he was
Kyler could put a bow on the best fantasy season ever. And if he's running like 35 points a week, like I'm going to be tough to beat if I got like Swift, if Swift really, it was just 1 week, but if he really
Scary Terry still getting peppered.
Yeah. I mean, I'm being optimistic, but I got to win 3 games first.
I mean, I have you both here, right? Obviously Grizz, you're getting healthier and stuff. So I think your team, the product that you gave the last 5 weeks is not what we saw, but you see Grizz kind of, hold on. You see Grizz kind of falling off point wise if you're not really looking at his lineup, right? And you see Hitches hitting the moon and hitting progress. Are you taking that hot team end of the year or the Grizz team that kind of started out hot and gifted? But that's when we talk about these next couple of weeks, we're going to know what team is dialed up for playoffs. You get Carson back, Gaskin back, so you're ready to roll.
But also, as Brian says, recency bias. I mean, the past 2 weeks, I've been killed with bye weeks with all my wide receivers on byes, and I've been plugging in like guys like AJ Green, which giving me zeros, which I have no confidence playing him week in, week out. He was my best option at the time. And, 2 weeks, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had Myers in my lineup the whole week. And then Crowder was ready to go, and I figured the Jets would have been down and throwing the ball that week. So I put Crowder.
I mean, it happens. Yeah, just the hot, the hot teams that you see where it goes. I mean, go quick. I need answers from the both of you right now. Tell me, actually, real quick before I even get into that, a fun scenario. We're talking about Bubs in the bye week. Mm-hmm. He also plays Sam and Boyani. Does Bubs drop to 5 or 6? You know what I'm saying? That could happen where although he's fighting for a bye, he also needs to fight for playoffs. He needs one more win to solidify himself. Yeah. But that's something to look into. So right now, give me 4, 5, 6, and 7. Finish the year up. Pitch go.
So let's see. I'll give that 4th spot to Bubs. He's got a good team. He's got
me too.
He's got good players. He's got Galladay or no? Does he have Galladay? Right, he does have Galladay.
He's got Galladay. Yeah,
just got redraft.
He should be coming back.
Grizz has Galladay in redraft. So he's got. I mean, he returned to practice, so Galladay should be coming back. Hopefully Stafford's all good. I'll put Actually, I'll keep the standings just the way they are right now. That's my pick. I really like a lot about Nicky's team, but those quarterbacks, I can't trust it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got French and Goose the last 2 weeks, so that could, be enough. He's got to win 2 of those games for sure and still put up, decent points to where he doesn't fall behind. Garrett's got Herbert and Rodgers. So I just like that a little better. And I think that Zeke, pulls it out a little bit here towards the end and starts to play a little better. I would love to win out and get that spot, but I think there's just a lot that has to happen to get it. It would be awesome if it happened, but
your schedule shows it doable for you, though. I think for you, obviously, you have to win out, but you have to see that middle of the pack has to pan out well
I've
for
beaten
you.
The top 2 teams, so I could beat anybody.
Right, but the middle of the pack is a lot. They're playing each other, so which is that good because they're losing. That also means that the middle of the pack is also someone's going to win.
Oh, so I think if I win out, I'm definitely in play for that last spot.
You're in play.
Yeah, you got to win out.
It's going to be points. Yes, because point wise, if you just look points from the out, you could.
I'm not that far behind, dude. I was like,
you're not that far behind. Now that I'm looking at you,
I was like closer to where Timmy was for a while, but like I scored 170 when I played you week 7, then laid an egg on Kyler's bye week, scored like 80, and then scored 150 something, and then scored 140 something. So like I've been scoring a little bit recently and kind of made up some ground. I was way behind, a few weeks ago, but I've gained some ground by some of these teams like laying eggs recently. So, I think I gotta, keep scoring in the 150s, 140s to, have a shot.
I agree. Grizz, where do you think? Where do you think?
The difference, I do have a difference, and I think I'm going to swap out. Ultimately, I think Hitch misses just because I think he has the win out, and I think when it comes down to it, even if he gets one loss, he's out. So that's where I think there's
the odds are not in his favor, especially because he needs to create points as well as going 3-0. Which might come hand in hand.
Yeah, French's quarterback situation, I think, just I like his team in long term, but I think he's put together a really good dynasty looking team where you got youngsters and good wide receivers, but his quarterbacks are just too hurt, and he's putting out backups in there basically. I have Gary missing and Nicky making it based off of the fact that if Nicky has me, French, and Goose, Nicky, let's say he loses to me, he should beat French and Goose. So there's 2. That gets into 6 and 7 right there. Where Gary,
that week 12 matchup is going to be the matchup of the week.
This is a good point.
Yep. And Gary's playing Sam, Grizz, and French, which I think with the way the schedule is for the next 3 weeks, that's where I'm putting Nicky gets a 6 and 7 where Garrett doesn't. And that's where only difference I have with Hitch is I flip-flop 6 and 7 from now, and I think Nicky makes it.
It's going to be crazy looking at these standings because if I beat Tim this week, and then Grizz beats Nicky, and Garrett loses to Sam, I'm going to be tied for that 6th spot just based on points. I could score 180 this week and catch right up.
Yes, you could.
And I could.
I just think it's more probable that Nicky, wins, 2 of 3, than you winning.
Oh, to get to the playoffs for sure. But I'm just saying, like 1 week from today, I could I realistically could be have the same record as Garrett and Nicky.
Yes.
Be like,
and the interesting thing is with the whole Garrett Nicky debacle, right? Because you have to realistically say one of them are competing for the 6th spot right now, right? Next week is going to open up everything. If Hitches loses, we're not talking about you anymore. Blah, blah, blah. French
Garrett
loses,
also owns his own pick too.
Right. So he doesn't mind if he loses, but I think you still want. I mean, I would hope the competitor in him says, "I still want to,
go back
I
to
still want to
back.
make playoffs."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's a chance of going back to back. If he loses on
Who knows?
purpose,
It's Garrett though. He's very emotional. His emotions are all over the place.
Well, I'm just saying that pick. He doesn't have.
Guy got bailed out on Herbert. Now he probably thinks he's the best drafter in the league. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence.
I'm just saying, like that.
So
that chance, he doesn't have a decision. Like Nicky doesn't own his own pick. Grizz doesn't own his own pick. I don't know my own pick. Like, I mean, obviously we all want to compete and win, but I mean, like looking at some of these top teams, like I wouldn't
compete? Yes.
I wouldn't think it's. I mean, what if you, said, all right, screw it, I'm not going to make, because it's not like we do the lottery. So once, I mean, you could literally get the 101 and.
And just miss playoffs. Yeah.
Miss playoffs. So,
I mean, I'm not
going to lie. I mean, if I was in Garrett's shoes, I'd at least think about it. But I mean, if I had the chance to go back to back, I'd probably try.
That's the difference. No, see, that's the difference. Is that he has a chance to go back to back.
His team is struggling though, man. Like he's got so many guys that are just inconsistent. Like
Parker, he does, but you know what?
Allen Robinson, Zeke with the Cowboys offense. Like he's got the quarterbacks, but he doesn't have many guys that he can be that confident.
If Dallas can have a playoff push, you know what I'm saying? Like Justin Jefferson, they're gonna want to keep giving him the ball here. He almost needs like Chase Edmonds or Kenyon Drake to get hurt for the rest of the year, so he can be comfortable starting one of them.
I don't think I could.
Yeah, he definitely is. He definitely is. And how do you not blame him? But I mean, I think you take it week to week basis, being right there.
What if he loses this week and he's like, you know what?
Then he's done. Then if in his head, he'd probably say, "Let's move on."
So plays Grizz the very next week. So Grizz could, say Grizz loses to Nicky this week, and then Garrett beats Sam, and then that Gary Grizz matchup week 12 is spicy.
I think if Garrett beats Sam, Garrett's gonna say, "Let's go. I can get this done." You know what I'm saying? Although I have had talks with him, and he said, "I don't think my ceiling, can really push with the rest of them." But it doesn't matter. Anything can happen in fantasy playoffs. It's interesting though with the whole Garrett Nicky thing with us talking about it. It's like you obviously give Garrett the big push at quarterback, but Nicky's running backs can kind of supplement that just because he's throwing out Kamara. I know Garrett has Zeke, but like it doesn't matter. That Zeke is not a Zeke this year, Kamara alone, and then Robinson. So it's like they're pretty close teams. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
For me, the record comes down to their the next 3 weeks of who they're playing. I think that Gary has Sam and me and French, where Nicky has me, aka Grizz, and French and Goose. I think he has a easier route to 6 and 7. A 6-7. I think
this playoff scenario pod is dialed up more than ever after this week. This is gonna because there's so like we're talking about Bubs. Bubs can get a bye or finish in 6th. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on right now?
We said this all year that it was going to be tight.
We did, and it is. And it's very all over the place. I think if I had to go, I said 5, 6, 7, right? I think Bubs is top 4. I think Grizz. I'd be surprised if you weren't 5. I'd be very surprised if you weren't 5. I think that the discussion is between Garrett and Nicky, and I don't fucking know who I want there. I think Nicky has the schedule, which was an amazing point by Grizz. Points doesn't matter. It's 6.5 points or 5.5 points difference.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know who I would pick right here.
I mean, who knows?
Does Kittle come back for Garrett? Kittle's probably done for the year, right? So if Kittle comes back,
if he does, it's for the playoffs. It's not for the regular season.
Exactly.
So
it's all this week. If Garrett can beat Sam, I think it'll spice Garrett up and say, okay, let's make this back-to-back run. If he loses, and especially if Nicky wins, I think Garrett says, I'm already 7th. I'm a lotto pick. I'll start my worst lineup. I got some youth. Maybe he'll actually make more than one trade in the offseason and, make this thing work. So I'm going to go Nicky 6, Garrett 7, just because I know how Garrett thinks and Nicky's schedule. Now, let me tell you this. Who's going to be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd? Oh, wait, Hitchad, you had your finger up. You had to say something.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to say, and that ties into who's going to be first, second, third. So think about this: like when the playoffs actually are here, those 4 and 5 seeds are going to play each other. So it could be Grizz versus Bubs, and then that 6 seed is going to play the 3 seed. So it could be Nikki, me, French, or Garrett versus, if we think Sam is going to drop to that 3 spot, Sam. And that could be spicy. You know what I mean? Like Grizz could definitely beat Bubs. That's a very winnable game for Grizz. And the 6 seed, I almost beat Sam a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was.
And you beat myself and Boyani, who could easily be at 3.
And then, so whoever wins between the 3 seed and the 6 seed plays the 2 seed. We could see like a Cinderella come here and be all of a sudden in the Final Four, and we could be looking at it.
Well, also I would say is when I was making all my moves and trades throughout the season, I was actually conscious of the playoff matchups, and I think that's where it might come into play too. Is like if some of their key players, if they have bad matchups and they don't.
That might mean you don't want the 1 seed because Grizz is probably going to be that 5 seed. I mean, and even if he is the 4 seed, then Bubs will probably be the 5 seed. We're probably going to see Grizz and Bubs play each other in the first round. That's probably going to be the first round matchup we see, and then the winner of that is going to play the 1 seed, which is probably either going to be Savini or Brian.
I think it's going to be the way I got it going: Savini, Brian, Sammy, Bubs, me, Nikki.
I'll put Garrett in that 6th spot, but I got the same.
Okay.
Would love for it to be me, but need a lot to happen.
As I said, I think.
To be honest with you, Hitch, though, if you can dial up some wins, even if 2 and 3, and you don't make playoffs, I'm happy because if you even win 2 of the next 3, I'd rather play a Garrett or a Nikki than you, just because of who you're rolling out. You're hot. A top to bottom have players that can boom. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of players you can pull out of your pocket. Andy Dalton's back. Does he pepper CD towards the end of the year? Like
I do have a lot of players.
You have a lot of options, and you could be very, very scary.
I hope so. I hope I at least have a chance.
We've talked about this before we had this awesome trio that, like, your team is already looking like you're going to be an issue very soon, and you're going to be one of these top teams, and we're all going to be wanting a piece of your roster.
I hope.
People already do.
My plan is just to hopefully after this year never miss playoffs again. I don't want to build like obviously I want to have a great team, but I don't want to go all in to build like a team that can only compete for 1 or 2 years. Like I just want to have a team that can make the playoffs every year and have a shot to compete. That's my goal. I never want to miss the playoffs again.
While your lineup can
and honestly, like if you just own your own pick, like so if you don't trade, like I don't have my own pick till 2023, but like if you can own your own pick and still be a good team, like you're gonna get a good player. Like look at the guys that went like 109, 110 last year. Like Justin Jefferson went 110 to Garrett. Like that's a good player. Like,
but you could also wind up with Cam Akers.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Or if you know your team, like I knew my team was making playoffs.
Right. It's not like bulletproof, but I'm just saying
see ya.
It helps.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. Because I don't want people to start changing their dynasty,
change away.
Mindsets. But yeah, I mean,
my whole point is
I think what makes this league,
so the quarterbacks push the good players down.
Yes.
Position
I think
players.
What makes this league the best is that we all essentially have the same goal. We can all dial up a competitive team.
We want to win.
At the same time, we all almost have our own strategy towards building what we're building.
That's what makes it fun to me. That's what's fun. Redraft, we just draft, and it's like, all right, we're all just going to try to win.
I think that's why this league has I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody here, but has became the more invested or
Well, it's pretty
funner
all year
or-
round.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I don't want to say the better league because redraft is redraft. Like that's been around forever. But like
You're more
it's fun.
emotionally
we're
invested.
more invested. Yes, exactly. And that's what I was trying to tell Timmy Hitch when he texted us in a group and said we should do a pod for playoff scenarios for redraft. I said
I wish I had the time
most
to do
people,
that. It'd be fun.
most people in our league know everybody's team for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Redraft. I mean, I don't know full teams. I could probably tell you most of it in Dynasty, but not in redraft. It's just, and everybody watching know who
You
has
name
who.
a player, I bet you I know who has them. Like,
Yep, me too.
In Dynasty,
I bet
but
you
you
I
name
know
a
who
player,
has
I
them.
know, but I don't in redraft.
And I think
You know what
everybody
I'm saying?
does. Everybody knows who has them.
That's why this, and I mean, we started a pod. I did rankings at first for a reason, because we were all invested. There was 27 trades in February or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
like,
then this offseason is going to be insane because there's going to be teams the teams that need the quarterbacks are going to be trying to make moves. And there is going to be 5 quarterbacks drafted in the top 15 NFL draft picks. There's going to be 5 new QBs that are coming in next year.
And there's going to be already starting quarterbacks up for sale.
Dude.
You can't just put all your chips on a rookie. But I think every year, the offseason, teams are going to have needs. They're going to try and address them. Shit's going to happen. I think every single offseason forever is going to be spicy because no one wants to just minus Sam and maybe Garrett minus after this year when he realized he has to make trades. We all want to make deals in the offseason. It's fun in the offseason, So I think every year, man, there's going to be wheeling and dealing left and right. And it's just the league's going to get better and better. So
to be honest with you, that's where the championships I think are made is the off season because at least the longer we get and further we get into the dynasty and years 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Because if you're not making deals and you're not moving guys in the off season, you're staying stale.
I don't know if that's true though.
Exactly. Well, if you're young like French,
that's what I'm saying. He drafted that team. Look at all the guys he drafted: DK Metcalf, Miles Sanders, Chase Claypool.
Also look where
What if
I'm saying.
What if they get hurt? What if a couple of those guys get hurt, like tear an ACL or something?
But that just happens. That's a beast.
But as the years go on, you've drafted more players. Is what I'm trying to say. And he's made trades. He traded for AJ Brown. I'm not saying he hasn't made trades, but all I'm trying to say is you don't have to be wheeling and dealing like crazy. You can make a couple trades here and there and still draft well. Do I think he's running hot with his draft picks? Yes. And that probably won't happen every year where he drafts a locked in stud, but I mean, he's doing pretty good. I mean, if Dak was healthy this year and CMC was healthy, I think we'd be seeing a lot different of a team.
It clearly just wasn't his year. I mean, I don't think we have anything bad to say about his team.
His team will be I think
he's going to be a problem.
His team will be a playoff team next year if it stays healthy. But I mean, that goes with everybody. Everybody's had injuries this year. So it's just how you handle them during the season. Your situation. Everybody's situation is different depending on how you deal with those situations.
Yeah, but his situation was almost like my team, for example. If I lost Patty Mahomes, if I lost Dalvin Cook, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he had another receiver. And then, I did lose Odell. So, but I guess I mean,
think about this.
Yeah,
think about this though.
I hear you.
Think about this. So what if, French's team come back healthy 2021? My team is obviously, hopefully trending up in the right direction. That could be 2 teams that are projected to make playoffs based on the rankings next offseason that didn't make playoffs this year.
Yeah.
What are those other bubble teams thinking to keep up with the teams that are ascending? You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm thinking. Are we always going to have 2, maybe 3 teams that are okay, I need to rebuild, gather assets, and try and build so I can make a product that can compete with
I only wanted to do it once.
Because there's always
that's why I did it. I was this is the only time I'm doing it.
But realistically, history repeats itself in every fashion of the world and life, whether it's fantasy football or fucking whatever. If I plan on doing this fucking same thing when I have, I was going to say gray hair. I don't fucking have hair. When I have a gray fucking beard, I don't know. It's going to be a long time. So we're going to have to all go through the cycle, right? It's never all going to work out. Fucking Andrew Otherlucks that are pussies and can't play for their team are going to retire and shit that.
Dude.
it still hurts. Okay.
Yeah,
I would agree. Right?
I respect his decision.
We're almost
like,
up on 40 minutes. It's going to cut off.
Okay.
Soon.
If you're a baller and your team's like hurt, you can't fucking quit a week before the season starts. Do it in the off season. But anyway, whatever. But I think it's always going to be at points where teams are going to be like, hey, I need to fucking refresh. You know what I'm saying? Like Garrett is a prime team where he's got a ton of young assets, a shining quarterback where he could be like, I'm fucking flipping the switch and taking Hitch's route now, because if I try and stay in this middle ground, I can't compete with the top. I could flop like the bottom. I need to pick one. So
I agree.
I think it's going to be fucking like this all the fucking time. So
fair enough.
That's fair enough.
All right, we're
I'm
out
a
of
little
here.
lost, but fair enough.
Peace.
See you.
We actually